Under the dazzling lights of Los Angeles's tallest tower, a millionaire host prepared to showcase his wealth. Priceless art on the walls, champagne worth hundreds flowing freely, and at the center of it all, a grand piano worth more than most families could ever dream of. But in the middle of this glittering scene, a young black girl would step forward and challenge the arrogance of power. What unfolded next left an entire crowd stunned, exposed the ugly face of prejudice, and changed one child's future forever. Could a single performance truly silence a millionaire's pride? Amara Rivera was only 9 years old, but her world was already full of limitations. Her mother, Marisol, worked long hours as a catering supervisor, often juggling late nights just to keep food on the table. Their small apartment rattled with the noise of traffic outside, and Amara's most prized possession was a second-hand keyboard with several broken keys. Yet, every night, she pressed the ones that still worked, pouring her heart into melodies no one expected from a child her age. That evening, Marisol was assigned to work at the annual charity gala of the Harrington Trust, hosted in the city's tallest luxury tower. Gregory Harrington, a millionaire known for flaunting his wealth, had spared no expense. Guests included actors, investors, and politicians, their laughter echoing against walls decorated with priceless art. Bottles of champagne worth $750 each flowed endlessly, while at the center of the ballroom stood a grand Steinway piano worth nearly $400,000. Amara had begged her mother to let her come along, promising to stay quiet in the corner. She did, at least at first, but her wide eyes kept returning to that piano, as if pulled by an invisible thread. She had no idea that her simple fascination would collide with the arrogance of a powerful man. And what began as innocent curiosity was about to ignite a moment that would shatter pride, expose prejudice, and change both her life and Harrington's reputation forever. From the moment Amara's eyes locked on the Steinway, it was as if the rest of the gala faded away. The glittering chandeliers, the swirl of gowns, the laughter of the wealthy, all of it blurred into background noise. To her, only the piano mattered. But to Gregory Harrington, the millionaire host, it was a status symbol, a centerpiece meant to remind everyone of his power. When he noticed the little girl inching closer, his expression hardened. Guests around him smirked as he raised his voice just loud enough for others to hear. "Do you really think you can touch that?" His tone was laced with disdain. "This piano costs more than your family's entire home." A ripple of chuckles followed, each laugh stinging like a slap across Marisol's face. Amara didn't flinch. Instead, her small hands trembled as she whispered, "I can play." The room hushed, curiosity battling with cruelty. Marisol rushed forward, terrified, tugging her daughter's arm, but Amara's feet rooted firmly to the floor. Against her mother's pleas, she climbed onto the piano bench. Her fingers pressed the keys, and instantly the air shifted. The first notes of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata drifted softly through the hall. Guests who had expected clumsy pounding froze in silence. Every chord carried a calm grace that didn't belong to a child but to an artist. The laughter vanished. All that remained was disbelief. Yet Amara wasn't finished. With no hesitation, she shifted to Liszt's La Campanella, a piece so notoriously difficult that even seasoned pianists avoid it in live performances. Her hands blurred over the keys, every note struck with precision, her body swaying with a rhythm that felt both impossible and divine. Gasps erupted around the room. People who moments ago sneered now leaned forward, phones slipping from their hands as they watched. And then another twist. Daniel Morgan, Los Angeles's most respected music critic, stepped into the hall just as Amara struck the piece's cascading high notes. He stopped cold, his eyes locked on the girl. His face, usually stern and unreadable, softened in awe. Guests whispered his name in disbelief. If he was impressed, the performance was no fluke. But the revelation that followed was even more shocking. Morgan recognized the style. He revealed that Amara's secret teacher, Helena Cruz, was no ordinary neighbor. She had once been a principal pianist for the San Francisco Philharmonic, a legend who had turned down wealthy students yet quietly nurtured Amara's gift, for free. The applause that followed shook the ballroom, echoing louder than the music itself. Yet not everyone was pleased. Clara Beaumont, editor of Cultural Vision, raised her phone, announcing she had filmed the entire performance and already posted it online. Within minutes, the video began spreading. Whispers rippled through the Millionaire's circle of investors. One of them, Kenji Watanabe, Harrington's most influential backer, exchanged tense words with him. "Our group cannot be associated with this behavior." The very stage that Harrington had built to flaunt his wealth was now slipping from under him. The girl he tried to humiliate was becoming the star of the night. And the story was only beginning. The applause had barely faded when the consequences struck like thunder. Gregory Harrington, the millionaire who once commanded every eye in the room, now stood exposed. The investors who had once hung on his every word avoided his gaze. Whispers turned to open murmurs, the air thick with judgment. His wealth, his arrogance, his reputation, all crumbling in real time. Yet at the center of it all sat Amara, her feet barely touching the floor, her fingers still trembling from the final notes of Liszt. She had come only as a child clinging to her mother's side, but now she was a symbol, proof that brilliance could come from the very people society dismissed. Then came the voice that sealed it all. Daniel Morgan, the critic feared by musicians across Los Angeles, stepped forward. His words cut through the room. Amara was a prodigy, trained by Helena Cruz, a legend who had chosen to give her gift not to the wealthy, but to a child with nothing but determination. In an instant, the story shifted. No longer was this about Harrington's luxury piano. It was about a little girl whose truth could not be denied. But humiliation burns hot. Harrington's jaw clenched as Clara Beaumont announced her video was already viral. Screens lit up with notifications, the clip racing across Instagram. Phones buzzed. Investors shook their heads, and his empire teetered on the edge of collapse. Marisol, still frozen in fear for her daughter, realized what had just happened. Amara had turned a moment of mockery into a moment of undeniable triumph. And the man who had tried to belittle her now stood powerless in his own ballroom. The hall erupted again, but this time it wasn't for the millionaire host. It was for the little girl who had silenced him. And as the cameras kept rolling, one question lingered. How far could her gift take her? And how much further would Harrington fall? 6 months later, the world had not forgotten. The video of Amara's performance had reached over 3 million views, spreading across TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Invitations poured in from music halls across the country. She now lives in a modest but comfortable residence near the Pacific Conservatory of Music, her tuition, housing, and expenses covered by Daniel Morgan Scholarship. Each day she practiced on a Yamaha gifted to her by those who believed in her, her fingers now preparing for one of the most prestigious stages of all, Carnegie Hall. But for Gregory Harrington, the night had marked the beginning of the end. His investors, embarrassed by his arrogance, withdrew one by one. His wife filed for divorce. His penthouse was sold off to pay debts. The man who had flaunted a $400,000 piano but couldn't play a single note was left with nothing but regret. The world had seen his cruelty and turned away. Amara, however, carried more than success. She carried proof that real genius doesn't come wrapped in privilege. It comes from resilience, from opportunity, from a belief that every child deserves a chance to shine. Her triumph exposed a deeper truth. Racism and arrogance often work together to silence voices that deserve to be heard. But when those voices break through, they can shake the very foundations of power. At Carnegie Hall, her performance of Rhapsody in Blue earned a standing ovation from thousands. And when asked later about that night in the tower, her words were simple. Music doesn't care about money or status. It only cares about the truth in your heart. Her story was more than one child's victory. It was a reminder. How many other Amaras are out there waiting for a chance, but held back by prejudice? And how much talent, how much brilliance, will the world continue to lose until it finally learns to listen? What do you think? Did Amara's gift prove that true talent can rise above arrogance and prejudice? If her story inspired you, make sure to hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that reveal the truth behind injustice.